I've just got some updates for you. Nothing really new this year in terms of regulatory stuff, but happy to provide an update on some of the numbers we saw from 2024. The updates and reminders are just things that we're seeing in the review process, and again, nothing too new that you'll see, but always really working to get those submissions through as efficiently as possible. So always happy to take the chance to just let you know things that we are always hoping we can do better together. And last but not least is source water protection. Again, nothing really new there, but just some reminders on when and if you see a farm that has obligations under source water, what we'll be looking for. So to jump in, so numbers from 2024, I just queried our new fancy database from January 1st to December 31st to see really what came in last year. And you can see the numbers here on the top left for strategies and NASM plans. When I'm asked how many strategies we normally look at in a year, I usually say on average about 500 to 550. So last year we were getting close to 650. So somewhat of a busy year for strategies. And I would say the numbers were kind of consistent throughout the year. Normally we see a big spike in the spring, and then it kind of drops off in the summer and a bit of a spike in the fall. Last year we definitely had an upswing in the spring, but then they just kept coming in. So it's made for a pretty good year in terms of turnaround time because we didn't have a flood of them and got behind and we're trying to catch up. We had a good year and we're able to stay caught up most of the year. So our average turnaround time last year for strategies was 14 working days, which our service standard is 50. So we were well under that, and we are always trying to keep that number as low as possible. We know it makes your job that much easier and keeps farmers that much happier. So always trying to push that number down as best we can. NASM, again, when I'm asked how many NASM plans we do, I normally say, anywhere between 400 and 450. So last year, 435, we were right on target. And our turnaround time for NASM was at 13 days. So pretty similar to strategies. I know it's small, but across the bottom here is a bar graph just showing the different counties, regions across the province. And just to give you a bit of representation of where those strategies came in. County of Wellington was the top submitter last year, which is not anything new. County of Huron, County of Grey, Perth County, Oxford County, Middlesex, Bruce, and Waterloo were all significant areas as well. And again, nothing new. The colors are the different predominant livestock types, and I've got another set of graphs coming on that. We do have an internal dashboard that we have access to that shows us where things are at and gives us some of the numbers. So these numbers at the top here are for everything that's in the program. So we're getting close to 8,500 farms with farm units, I guess you would say, with strategies across the province, and just over 1,800 farms with NASM plans. And if you look at the map below, all the green dots are properties that have strategies. All the brown dots are properties with a NASM plan. So just a bit of a picture of where things are at, and no surprise of where we see the approvals being issued, southwestern Ontario, and then a few pockets up into the north. A few more strategy stats for you, and I do apologize to the NASM folks. Our database, we're working on it to get a few more information points out for NASM, but right now we can't get a whole lot out for NASM, but next year I should be able to get you a few more stats. But the bar graph across the bottom is looking at the predominant livestock types again, and this is specifically for 2024. Nothing too new here. Dairy and chicken were the 1 and 2 predominant livestock types submitted in strategies, and then followed by beef and swine. Anecdotally, I'd say swine is probably up a little bit last year. We normally don't see quite that many swine operations being submitted, but definitely the dairy and chicken is not new. The donut chart up in the top here just shows you the size by nutrient units of what we're seeing for the submissions. So this teal, the biggest one is 50 to 150 nutrient units. So those kind of smallish size farms. The darker teal is less than 50, so the real small farms. The real big farms are the ones over 500 nutrient units, which is the yellowish color. The 300 to 500, the dark blue or real dark blue, and then the blue 127 is 150 to 300. Just gives you an idea of the size of operations that we're seeing. And again, anecdotally, I'd say definitely we're seeing the trend that farms are definitely getting larger over time. So into the reminders, and this is again, very appreciative of all the effort that goes into submitting strategies and NASM plans. And if we look back from people that have been doing it 10, 15, 20 years now, that quality has just continued to increase, and we're seeing more and more strategies, NASM plans go through without those requirements for request for additional information. And we're just trying to get more and more through without those issues. So probably everybody's had RAIs with these points on them, but these are the things that are kind of bogging us down to some degree went through the review process for NASM and strategies. One of the things, just a reminder, making sure you're submitting everything in one PDF. We need that one PDF, and we need that .nms file coming in when you're submitting by email. Everything needs to be put together before you submit it. Complete and accurate, double, triple check that things are what you think is being submitted. I know it's hard. I know things change, but the better you can submit to us, the more efficient we can get things sent back out. Lots of times we're seeing discrepancies between AgriSuite and between the sketch. You send the RAI back and, oh yeah, they changed that. Sorry, I didn't update it. Again, if you can just take that extra few minutes to check and double check that you've got the most current information everywhere, it really helps us to make sure we can get them through as quickly as possible. Scan documents, if you're still using a scanner, please make sure when you scan something that it's legible. We far too often get documents in that are just illegible. You maybe can see a signature, but you can't see anything else on the document. Please make sure if that's the case that you are double checking that it can be read. If it's illegible, we're going to have to send it back every time. Already talked about the NMS. The BN9 number, everybody's favorite. Just a reminder, it's a pain, I know, for you guys, and it's a pain for us, but it is a requirement that we have to collect that BN9 number as part of being part of the Ontario government and a program under the Ontario government. So it's a 9-digit number. It's a federal number. HST number is what we need. And it needs to match the information that's being submitted in the strategy. So best thing you can do is get a document from your clients with that BN9 number and the name associated with it, whether it's a business name or the owner name. That name needs to be on the submission as well. If John Smith is the owner of the operation and it's being submitted as John Smith, if the BN9 is associated with Smith Family Farms, Smith Family Farms needs to be on the nutrient management strategy as well. There has to be that connection between the BN9 and the ownership of the operation. A common error that we're seeing is we're getting farm business registration numbers instead of the BN9. And again, I know it's numbers and it's things, but again, it's that HST number, the BN9 number that we need, and we need you to make sure that it is the correct number we need. Really bogs Shannon down when she's trying to log things, and she doesn't have the information she needs, takes them back and forth, and just slows the whole process down. Articles of incorporation used to be something we asked for verification of corporation names. We no longer need that with the BN9 process. and sometimes it leads to confusion or additional information that we don't need. If that name on the articles of incorporation doesn't match the BN9 or other information in the strategy, it can just lead to more back and forth that's not required. So no need to submit the articles of incorporation. The BN9 is what we need for submissions, both strategies and NASM plans. Another thing is making sure that you're using consistent units throughout the submission, metric versus imperial. Could be a bit of an AgriSuite issue, but sometimes we see AgriSuite done in metric, then information on the sketch done in imperial or vice versa. No reason you can't do it in imperial, no reason you can't do it in metric, but it needs to be consistent throughout the submission. So please, one of those things to check before you submit, that it is all consistent. One of the theories is when we're sending REIs and you're resubmitting, sometimes that's when we're seeing the metric going from imperial to metric. So it could be something when you're reopening a file, it's kicking it over to metric. Again, just when you're printing that PDF, make sure it is what you think it is. PDF file size is another one that's an issue. Sometimes we're getting extremely large PDFs coming in, more than 20 megabytes, which is really big. Take a look, see what's going on. Again, the theory is Mac computers are kicking out large PDFs. Could be something with AgriSuite. One trick is to reprint a PDF. So if you got your PDF open and you print it again as a PDF, sometimes that'll reduce the size down significantly. But your PDF should be 1 to maybe 5 megabytes. But when you're getting up to 20, there's likely an issue there that needs resolving before you submit. If you can't figure it out, so, Googling reducing PDF size is what I normally do, or don't be afraid to contact us and we'll do our best to help you. Note on official documents, please don't modify official documents. Signatures should not be copied and pasted from document to document. Dates should not be changed. It really impacts the integrity of the program. We've had a case go through trial now with some forged documents, and it was found to be an issue for sure. Information on soil samples, please don't change the numbers. Engineered drawings, shouldn't be modified. If you're summarizing or adding additional information, I think that's likely okay, as long as it's clear that that's information coming from you. You're not changing something from an official document. So please be aware of that. Few more reminders for you. Request for additional information. This one's not new, but when you are submitting back or responding to requests for additional information, we are looking for a complete package. So you need to resubmit the complete package from start to finish with the updates made within that package. We've been doing that from the start for NASM, bit of a new thing for strategies, but we no longer will stitch things together on our end of things. So please submit that updated PDF in the updated .nms file when responding to requests for additional information. Amendments, the same thing. We need a complete package coming in for amendments, and we need the request for amendment form that can be found on nutrientmanagement.ca. Please fill out both, and please submit that complete package with an updated .nms file with your amendment requests. And a few strategy-specific pieces. Please make sure you're addressing nutrient loading, housing capacity things in your initial submission. Anybody that's been doing these for a while now knows that every time we're going to ask you if your nutrient loading's high, we're going to be asked for some justification on that nutrient loading. Normally we'll get a printout from AgriSuite showing the nutrient balances that it is okay. That's all we're looking for. You might as well submit that with it versus waiting for the REI to come. Housing capacity, same thing. If all we're getting is the outside dimensions and we can't really determine how many livestock could be in that barn, we're going to ask you for more information on the housing capacity, and whether that's the engineered drawing or just more information on the internal workings of the barn. please consider doing that up front versus waiting for the request for additional information. Dairy barns are a prime example. You know, if you can give us a bit of detail on the number of stalls, where the milk house is, where the feed rooms are, really helps us to confirm the maximum housing capacity of that barn. Barn schematics were added to the protocol a number of years ago, or probably 2 years ago now. That is a requirement if you're not, or an option, I guess, if the housing capacity isn't lining up. A barn schematic sketch or an engineered drawing can be very helpful, showing us where the livestock are housed and where non-livestock areas are, again, for us to be able to confirm that maximum livestock housing capacity. You can put information on like the number of stalls, pens, areas, things like that within the outside dimensions. Again, very helpful to be able to confirm that. If you're transferring manure off, please make sure you're putting a quantity in. Sometimes that's overlooked in the new AgriSuite, putting that quantity in of manure being transferred off. If you're doing a broker agreement, make sure the information is consistent between what's in AgriSuite and the broker agreement. And the last one is just on the wall height of manure storages, solid manure storages, that would be. Please make sure you're entering that in. It asks you for wall height, average depth of manure, then length and width. Often, not often, sometimes we get zeros for the wall height, but we get an average depth. We do need that wall height to confirm if engineering is required, and just to make sure that that average depth makes sense. So if you can make sure those are addressed up front, really helps make sure that we don't have to send repetitive REIs. Just a note here on regulated mixed anaerobic digester facilities. We are seeing a few of the large digesters coming in. There was a reg change back in 2020, I believe, that allowed for up to 40,000 cubic meters of off-farm materials to be accepted in digesters. Just starting to see some of those large digesters coming in. Because of the allowance for that more material, off-farm material to come in, there's a lot more rules and requirements to make sure that odor's managed properly, the materials treated properly. So there is a lot of additional information that is required for that regular mixed AD. So if you haven't done one before, please, I'm probably the best one to talk to. We have a checklist you can use and work with the engineer to make sure all that information is submitted as best you can up front. Be prepared for a longer review process. We do have a step where we get one of our engineers to do a technical review of the digester information to make sure that it makes sense what they're proposing for the digester. So there will be more back and forth. There will be some extra steps in terms of having the engineer look at it, and the turnaround time will be longer for the regular mixed AD submissions. And just the last few slides here on source water protection. Again, nothing really new with the program. There have been some policy updates done, and again, nutrient management is brought into source water protection through the prescribed instruments. So the ways of managing threats are by using the prescribed instruments, which are strategies, nutrient management plans, and NASM plans. Farms can mitigate risks to source water using those regulatory documents. So that's why nutrient management is brought into source water. Just be aware that things can change within source water, which can change requirements in strategies and NASM plans. You know, if you submitted a strategy 5-6 years ago and there was no source water protection requirements, nothing to say today. If you looked at it again, there isn't now source water requirements. New wells can be drilled, areas can be expanded. All those things can happen, which could bring a farm or a piece of a farm into a source water protection area. So just double check that. There are tools out there. Ag Maps has the layers that you can take a quick look to see if a farm is impacted by the source water protection areas. If you're in a red for the wellhead protection areas, orange for the IPZs, orange for the wellhead protection E's, or the blue hatching is issues contributing areas, there may be policies that apply to that area that may need to be addressed in the strategy or NASM plan. We get a handful of those a year. Often we just have to put our standard conditions on, but there are the odd ones that we do need to put site-specific conditions on to make sure we're doing our due diligence under the source water protection program. And just the last slide, a few resources, lots of resources on source water protection. If you are dealing with a farm that is in a source protection area, Conservation Ontario website has lots of information. The different source protection areas normally have a website with the actual source protection plan. You can see all the policies there, and be aware that it's not just strategies and NASM plans that are impacted. They're relatively small pieces or that deal with a small number of threats that could need to be addressed on the farm. Farm will need to be working with the risk management officials for things like fuel storage, pesticide storage, all that stuff. Outside the scope of nutrient management and outside of the scope of your training, but maybe something you're asked to do by the farmer, and it would be your decision whether you're going to help with that risk management plan or not. And that's the update from us. I think we're collecting questions at the end. If not, happy to take any now. I'll throw it back to you, Janet.
Great. If anybody has any questions for Matt on this specific topic, you can either send them to me in a chat or ask him right now. And I don't see any coming up. Okay. Dale,
Perfect.
I guess you are the next.
Did I do it?
You did.
Oh,
Perfect.
nice. Good. Yeah, so thanks everybody, and James, thanks for the welcome. Well said. And we always say that consultants are the people in between us and the farmer, and you do a great job keeping the farmers informed and letting them know how the rules impact their farm. So thanks for the work you do.